Hi everyone! Welcome to Souped Up Recipes. If you're a long-time subscriber, you probably noticed that I love dumplings. On my channel, I have more than 10 videos, over 15 recipes for different kinds of dumplings. Today, I'm giving you another authentic Xi'an style dumpling recipe. It's 酸汤水饺, hot and sour dumpling soup. Not only it sounds exciting, but also it's amazingly delicious. If you love dumplings like I do, you should definitely give this a try. As usual, we'll start with making our own wrappers because you won't get the same texture if you use store-bought wrappers. Add half teaspoon of salt into 200 grams of room temperature water. Stir to dissolve. Pour the sodium solution into 400 grams of dumpling flour in batches. Dumpling flour is a type of flour that has a higher protein content, and protein is what makes the dumpling great in texture. This is what I'm using. You should be able to find it in most Asian markets. If not, you can use bread flour. Just make sure you check the protein content before picking a brand. This one, for every 31 grams of flour, contains 4 grams of protein. That is 12% and should be good for making dumplings. Different brands of flour have different abilities of absorbing water, so you should slightly adjust the reference water ratio that I give. Start gathering the flour together. Make it into a dough. Don't forget to scrape the bottom of the bowl. Dumpling dough usually contains less water compared to steamed bun or bread dough, so it's pretty hard. If you can't knead it smooth, that is okay. Just cover it and let it sit for 20 minutes. 20 minutes later, the dough should be much more soft and pliable. Now you can easily knead it into a smooth dough. While we're working with the dough, the protein that are in the flour are being stretching and bounding again and again, which forms the basic structure for the wrapper. In China, we have a word called 筋道 to determine if your dumpling wrapper is good or not. 筋道 means the texture of the wrapper is firm and has nice bones and structures in it, kind of like the antonym of mushy. It's very important, especially when making boiled dumplings, because you don't want the wrapper to turn mushy when cooked. In order to do that, you just have to keep kneading it. Let it rest for 20 minutes, knead it again for 3 to 5 minutes, let it sit, repeat this 3 to 4 times, and you should have a really nice dumpling dough. I know it sounds time-consuming. That is what you have to pay for good homemade dumplings. Since there is plenty of time to wait, you can make your filling. 酸汤水饺 is a specialty from Hui people. They have a very different food culture than Han people. Mostly, this recipe will be done with beef or lamb. No pork for religion reasons. So today, I'm making the beef fennel filling. You will need some fresh fennel. There are 3 parts. First is this big bowl. You can use that to make salad or roast it with whatever meat you like. Second is the stalks like celery. It's a bit fibery. You can use it to infuse your soup or stock. The part that we're going to use today is these feathery leaves. It is light, aromatic, and refreshing. You just take that off the stalk. Make sure you don't tear the fibery stem off because that will affect the texture of the filling. We'll need about 2 to 3 cups of fennel leaves, about 80 grams. Wash it in clean water. Use a salad spinner to get rid of the moisture. Finally, dice it. I love the mildly licorice flavor from the fennel. If you don't like it, you can use scallion, cilantro, cabbage, carrot, or any vegetables you like. Add that to the ground beef. You will also need a couple pieces of scallion. Finally, dice it as well. Heat up 2 tablespoons of cooking oil in a sauce pot. Throw in the scallions and stir until fragrant. Add half teaspoon of 5 spice powder. Quickly stir it and add this to the filling. Keep adding 1½ tablespoon of soy sauce, 1½ tablespoon of oyster sauce, 1/4 cup of water. If you have beef stock, that will be even better. Some black pepper to taste, ½ teaspoon of salt, cracking 1 egg. Mix everything together. To develop the texture of the filling, I like to stir the meat within one direction until the mixture becomes sticky. Then slap the meat hard for a few minutes and your filling is done. Before we start wrapping the dumplings, I have to show you how to make the spiced vinegar. It is the soul of this recipe. You will need some Chinese black vinegar. We call it 陈醋 or 香醋. It's a type of aged vinegar. I'll put the Amazon link in the description. You can check it out if you need it. However, if you can't find this ingredient, balsamic vinegar can be a substitution. It does taste different. It will still be delicious, but you just don't get the authentic touch. In a clean pot, we're gonna add 1½ cup of Chinese aged black vinegar. Pure vinegar is very sharp, so we're gonna dilute it with ½ cup of water. After that, we'll flavor it with 1½ tablespoon of brown sugar, ½ teaspoon of fennel seeds, 1 teaspoon of Sichuan peppercorns, 3 pieces of cloves, a little bit cinnamon stick, break them apart, 1 piece of star anise, break it apart as well. Tear 1 piece of bay leaf. Throw in 2 cloves of garlic that are slightly crushed. Optionally, open up 2 pieces of dried red chilies. Stir everything and bring this to a light simmer. We want all the spices to infuse the vinegar, so keep it at low heat. Let it simmer for 15 minutes. The sharp and tart vinegar taste will evaporate away, and the rest of the liquid is much gentle and complex. We want to reduce 30% of the liquid. You don't need to measure it exactly, just eyeball it. You should have about 1½ cup of liquid left in there. Turn off the heat, fish out all the spices. This amount should be enough to assemble 6 servings of dumpling soup. If you cannot use it all in one time, you can save it in a jar. It should stay good in the fridge for a couple months. Next, we'll wrap the dumplings. Always dust some flour to prevent stickness when transferring the dough. Flatten the dough, then we'll divide it into many small and even pieces. There are lots of recipes tell you to roll the dough into a long log and then divide it. That is a little challenging for beginners. Today, I'm showing you a much simple way. Transfer this onto a cutting board. Take a knife and cut the dough into thick strips. Dust more flour and move the strips so the cut surfaces don't touch each other, or else they will stick together. You can use something to measure it so the strips turn out with a same thickness. I just use my thumb. Once you finish that, dust more flour and line them up together. Keep cutting them into small pieces. It doesn't matter the length and the width as long as the dough pieces are the same size. I normally don't use a scale, but if you ask, I would say each pieces should be about 11 to 12 grams. Look at that. You don't need a scale and they're evenly divided. Cover them with a plastic film or else they will dry out while you are wrapping the dumplings. These are the uneven pieces that I picked out. You can knead them together and reuse it or just discard it. Up to you. Take 1 piece of the dough. We're going to roll it into a round wrapper. This is how I do it. The rolling pin goes forward and back. Left hand holds the dough and turns it. Right hand keeps rolling it. Repeat this fast and you will get a round wrapper with thick middle and thin edge. The diameter is about 8 centimeters. Put some filling in the middle of the wrapper. Use both of your thumbs and forefingers to stretch the wrapper, then fold that in half. Pinch the edge together tightly. That's it. Fast and easy. This way you create a fat dumpling with a smooth stomach. Isn't that cute? This recipe is enough to make 60 to 65 big dumplings, and that is about 6 servings. Now, let me show you how to assemble 1 bowl of dumpling soup. I know, that is a lot of ingredients. It's normal in China. A lot of restaurants, they always have the seasonings and ingredients ready and they assemble it as soon as they take your order. Okay, get a big soup bowl. Add 2 tablespoons of dried baby shrimp. I love the nice umami taste of it. This is what I'm using. It's sun-dried small shrimp and it's naturally salty. If you don't have it, it's okay to skip it. Keep adding a bunch of dried seaweed, lots of diced cilantro and scallions, 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame seeds, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. It looks like a lot of soy sauce, but this is a huge bowl, so it's not gonna be too salty. Here comes 3 to 4 tablespoons of the spiced vinegar that we made. If this is the first time you are making this recipe, make sure you taste and adjust the vinegar amount so you don't oversour your soup. Next ingredient is a little special. The original recipe called for beef tallow and chicken fat. What I did is that I made a beef and chicken stock not so long ago. I didn't skim off the fat, just leave it in the fridge to chill until the fat is solid. This is basically beef and chicken fat mix. We'll need 1 teaspoon of that. If you don't have it, feel free to put in a teaspoon of butter. I have tried it. Tastes great. Just in case you're wondering, where do I get the original recipe from? It's an old book talking about authentic Shanxi cuisine. Let's cook the dumplings. In a pot of boiling water, drizzle in a little bit cooking oil, then throw in the dumplings. I usually do 10 to 15 pieces per serving. Gently stir them to prevent sticking. The dumplings will drop down the temperature a little bit. Keep the heat at high. In a couple minutes, it should come back to a boil and all the dumplings should float to the top. Pour in half cup of cold water to drop down the temperature again. Cover it and wait for it to come back to a boil again. Add another half cup of cold water. We call this 点冷水 in Chinese. It helps you to control the heat easily and make sure the dumpling is cooked through. When the 3rd time that the pot is boiling, your dumplings are 100% cooked through. Turn off the heat. We're going to scoop some of the water and use it as the dumpling soup. I did add a little salt because this bowl needs about 3 cups of liquid to fill it up, so you definitely need a little extra salt for the taste. When you pour in the dumpling water, make sure to melt the fat. You can also use beef stock if you have it. This recipe is going to be flavorful, so it should work just as good. Take out all the dumplings, add it to the bowl, spice it up with some chili oil. I used about 3 tablespoons. This is homemade. You can check my Sichuan beef slices in chili oil recipe to learn how to make it. Chili oil is a basic ingredient in Chinese cuisine. If you like spicy food, you should definitely have it in your kitchen. Sprinkle a little more sesame seeds. To reinforce the nutty taste, I add a drizzle of toasted sesame oil. Top some extra cilantro and scallion. You're done! Look at that. So beautiful. The first thing I will do is to taste the soup and get myself ready for all those tangy flavors. Then you can enjoy the dumplings. The fennel gives some nice sweetish aroma. The filling is so juicy and delicious. It does not need dipping sauce because it's a recipe that combines the sauce and the soup together. I could not stop eating it. There's no other words for me to describe how delicious this is. Just look at that bowl. It's bigger than my face. And that amount, to be honest, it's enough to serve 2 people. I ate it all and didn't waste a drop of that soup. I was full and satisfied. That was good. I hope you give this a try soon. If you did, leave me a comment, let me know how it goes. As always, you can check the link in the description and find the printable recipe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!